Hello guys, today we will look at the movie called A Quiet Place. The movie starts 89 days after hostile extraterrestrial beings have taken over Earth, causing significant casualties among the human population. These beings lack vision but possess exceptional hearing abilities and impenetrable armor. We are introduced to a family among the few survivors, cautiously navigating through an abandoned store in search of necessary supplies. The mother, Evelyn Abbott, meticulously examines a collection of untouched prescription bottles, hoping to find medicine for her eldest son, Marcus, who is currently ill. The family takes extreme precautions to minimize noise and communicates exclusively through sign language. Accompanying Evelyn are her deaf daughter, Reagan, and her youngest son, Beau. Beau, being mischievous by nature, enjoys drawing on the floor while they gather provisions. He discovers a toy space shuttle on a shelf and tries to reach it by climbing a stool, causing concern for everyone present. The toy slips, but Reagan quickly catches it before it hits the ground. Meanwhile, the father, Lee Abbott, arrives at the store and collects electronic items to enhance the range of a radio he has acquired. However, he instructs Beau to leave the space shuttle toy behind due to the noise it would create if activated. Shortly after, Evelyn signals to the family to move before it gets dark. As they prepare to leave, Reagan secretly returns the toy to Beau, but without the batteries. Nevertheless, Beau retrieves the batteries without anyone noticing. Afterward, the family silently makes their way home, carefully stepping on a path of sand they have laid down to avoid making noise with the leaves. When they reach a pedestrian bridge, Beau inserts the batteries into the toy, unintentionally activating it and causing loud noises. The family is filled with horror. Lee rushes desperately towards his son, but it is too late as a menacing alien creature suddenly appears and snatches Beau away in an instant. Little boy meets a tragic end right before his family's eyes, even though that space shuttle toy was pretty cool. The story then fast-forwards a year, showing the Abbott family living in their farmhouse. They have moved forward from the heartbreaking event. Evelyn is now pregnant and focused on keeping her family safe in the basement. Lee has set up a surveillance system with cameras, monitors, a radio, and other electronic equipment, hoping to make contact with any surviving individuals. Lee is undeniably intelligent, although his intelligence didn't extend to using a condom. One evening, while the family is playing Monopoly, Marcus accidentally knocks over a lantern, causing it to break and start a small fire. Lee quickly reacts and puts out the flames, and the family anxiously waits for any potential threats. Moments later, they hear a loud noise from the roof. Lee looks out the window and is surprised but relieved to see that it was only a raccoon falling from above. He then goes down to the basement to continue working on a cochlear implant processor to help his daughter with her hearing. Later, Evelyn joins Lee in the basement, and they share a tender moment together. They put on earphones and engage in a slow dance, momentarily forgetting the chaos that has consumed their world. The following morning, Lee is shown pouring sand on the marked pathways outside their home, ensuring their footsteps remain silent. Meanwhile, Evelyn takes care of her health in the cellar, checking her blood pressure as her labor due date approaches in a few weeks. She listens to the strong and healthy heartbeat of her unborn child using a stethoscope placed on her abdomen. Afterward, Reagan enters the house, cautiously stepping only on the designated sections of the floor to avoid making noise. She expresses her desire to go down to the basement, but her father stops her from doing so. Instead, he presents her with a new cochlear implant processor that comes with additional amplifiers. Reagan initially believes they won't be effective and refuses to wear them. However, when her father insists that she give them a try, she puts them in her pocket and leaves. Later that day, Lee decides to go fishing and invites Marcus to join him. Marcus is initially scared and hesitant, but Evelyn convinces him by explaining that fishing will teach him valuable skills for the future. She assures him that it will prevent him from ever getting bored. Reagan expresses her desire to join them, but Lee instructs her to stay behind and take care of her mother. This decision upsets Reagan, prompting her to pack her bag and leave the farmhouse. In the next scene, Lee and Marcus arrive at the river, where Lee imparts an important lesson. He explains that producing softer sounds is acceptable as long as louder sounds are present in the environment to mask them. They move closer to a waterfall where they can talk freely without fear of being heard. They even feel comfortable enough to release any pent-up gas. Marcus, in particular, lets out a scream at the top of his lungs, something he has never done before. Meanwhile, Reagan makes her way to the same bridge where her brother was taken a year ago. She takes out the space shuttle toy and carefully cuts a wire, allowing the toy to light up without making any noise. She leaves it there, hoping that her departed brother can play with it in heaven or wherever he may be. As Lee and Marcus are heading home, they are startled by the sudden appearance of an old man emerging from the woods. As Lee cautiously approaches the old man, he notices the lifeless body of an elderly woman, presumably the man's wife. Lee tries to signal the man to stay quiet, but to his dismay, the man becomes frightened and lets out a loud scream. Lee is baffled by how this man has managed to survive. Filled with horror, Lee grabs his son and quickly hides behind a tree. Within seconds, a deadly alien creature emerges and swiftly kills the old man. Meanwhile, Evelyn is alone at home when her water suddenly breaks. Trying to compose herself, she carefully makes her way down to the basement. Unfortunately, she accidentally steps on an exposed nail protruding from the stairs, causing her to yelp in pain and drop a photo frame, shattering it on the floor. She realizes that she is truly alone in the house. The loud noise alerts the alien creatures to her presence. Despite the pain, she manages to free her foot from the nail and proceeds to the basement, where she activates a network of red light bulbs strategically placed around their property, serving as a warning signal. Evelyn then attempts to go upstairs but discovers that one of the creatures has already infiltrated the house. With time running out, she devises a plan and sets an egg timer as a distraction. The plan works, and as the creature's attention is diverted, she quickly escapes upstairs. She successfully reaches the bathroom, where she begins the process of giving birth. After a while, Lee and Marcus return home and notice the illuminated red lights, realizing that their wife and mother are in danger. Lee hands Marcus a firecracker and instructs him to light it, hoping that the fireworks will scare the creatures away. Despite the risks involved, Marcus bravely runs to a designated area, ignites the fuse, and sets off a series of fireworks as a diversionary tactic. This finally gives Evelyn the opportunity to release a scream. Unable to suppress the pain of her contractions any longer. Soon after, Lee seizes his shotgun and enters the house. In the bathroom, he finds an empty tub stained with his wife's blood. Devastated, he initially assumes Evelyn has died. But his anguish turns to relief when he discovers her safe in the shower, cradling their newborn baby boy. Overwhelmed with emotion, Lee tightly embraces his wife. Meanwhile, Marcus heads back to the house and spots a creature. Desperate to escape, he runs into a cornfield but collides with a tractor wheel, rendering himself unconscious. Reagan, resting near the memorial, witnesses the fireworks and hurries back home. Along the way, she notices Marcus's flashlight beam from the cornfield but is unaware of the approaching creature. As the creature nears Reagan, her cochlear implant processor emits a high-pitched feedback, causing immense pain to the creature, which retreats. Reagan finds her frightened brother and embraces him tightly. They then climb to the top of a grain silo and ignite a signal fire, hoping to alert distant farms of their presence. On another front, Lee carries his wife and their newborn baby to a concealed hiding spot beneath the barn floor. He places an oxygen mask on the baby and secures him in a soundproof crib. After this intense moment, Lee sets off to search for their missing kids while water steadily fills the cellar. Later, Evelyn wakes up to find the cellar flooded and a creature inside. Cautiously, she picks up her baby and quietly moves to the back of the cellar, taking cover behind the flooding waterfall. Meanwhile, Marcus and Reagan remain on top of the silo, anxiously awaiting their father's arrival. Suddenly, the silo hatch breaks, causing Marcus to fall inside, almost getting crushed by a metal door. Seeing her brother's danger, Reagan bravely jumps and pushes the hatch toward Marcus so he can grab hold of it. However, Reagan herself begins sinking into the grain in the process. Just as it seems like they are about to meet a gruesome fate, Marcus miraculously climbs onto the hatch and pulls his sister to safety. The siblings find a secure spot on top of the silo door. However, they hear a crash above them. The creature from the cellar has made its way to the silo, drawn by the noise, but once again, Reagan's cochlear implant emits a piercing noise, causing the creature to recoil in agony and retreat. Reagan and Marcus jump off the silo and finally reunite with Lee. Their relief is short-lived as they hear the approaching creature's ominous sounds. Lee instructs the children to quickly get into his truck and use it to return home. Armed with an axe, he confronts the creature but is unfortunately attacked. Marcus screams in horror, attracting the creature's attention to the truck, which it violently starts tearing apart. Reagan's cochlear implant emits its piercing feedback again, but unaware of its importance, she decides to turn it off. This allows the creature to strike the truck with full force. Meanwhile, Lee, injured but determined, notices his children in danger. Realizing they will die if he doesn't act quickly, Lee chooses to do something drastic. He looks at his daughter and communicates his love through sign language one last time. Then lets out a loud yell. The creatures divert their attention, giving his kids a chance to escape. Reagan and Marcus release the truck's brakes and roll it back to the house, where they are finally reunited with their mother. However, Lee is torn to pieces in the process. Dwight's prank went too far. In the next scene, Evelyn and the children still hear a nearby creature's shriek, so they retreat to the basement. There, Reagan discovers her late father's research on cochlear implants, revealing his dedication to helping her. Overwhelmed with emotion, Reagan finds a note that reads, "What is their weakness?" It finally dawns on her that her hearing aid possesses the power to weaken the creature. She removes her cochlear implant and slams it against a microphone, causing the creature's head to contort in agony before collapsing. The wounded creature exposes vulnerable inner tissue as it struggles to regain its footing. Seizing the opportunity, Evelyn shoots the creature, blowing its head off. With Marcus and the baby seeking safety in a corner, Reagan and Evelyn monitor the security camera screens, observing more creatures approaching the house. Empowered by their newfound knowledge of how to fight back, Reagan amplifies the sound and raises the microphone while Evelyn, wearing a smile, cocks the shotgun. Thank you for watching, see you next time.